everybody, and welcome to the LMF1O podcast / show / audiobook. And I am Andre Barnabas. And I
Audiobook.
Why are you looking at me like that, dude? That's my surname.
Audiobook, though. No,
audiobook,
I'm focusing on what you said earlier about audiobook. Wow.
Yeah.
Usually audiobooks have like physical books. I have not seen your physical book.
Yeah.
Because we did not script this, guys. Just,
we
to
didn't.
let everyone
It's
know.
all from the heart. It's all coming from the heart. It's just all
Maybe
genuine,
his heart.
genuine, no bias. It's just pure, straight facts.
No bias at all, except me slightly Red Bull and
Yeah.
Andre slightly Aston Martin there, hey?
No,
Not at all,
I
hey?
don't think so.
No.
I'm very
Okay.
unbiased and
Very
and
unbiased.
I'm a centralist.
I
So-
see, okay.
This is going to be a look back at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix of the 2023 F1 season. It was very unjittery, if that makes any sense at all.
Well, for a circuit which we've only visited twice, or this
Yeah.
being the third time, yes,
Yeah.
I agree with you. It didn't seem very much like Jeddah at all, really.
Yeah.
In terms of, it was a very clean race. In a way, not a bad thing that it was a clean race. There were some scary moments in some of the previous races, especially
Yeah.
with the lower categories. I didn't watch those races, but everyone saw the footages afterwards
yeah, it
of
was
like,
ridiculous.
you don't want crashes to be hectic. I actually heard someone, I'm not sure who it was that I heard speaking. It might have been on some other podcast, but they were saying that we often actually do like safety cars and yellow flags and that sort of stuff, so long as nobody gets hurt.
Yeah,
And I'm going to reiterate that sentiment. I don't
100%.
want anyone to get hurt or seriously injured. But a safety car every now and then is not.
It's
it's
not
bad.
Yeah, it spices up the field.
It does
big time.
spice up the field.
Especially the midfield.
And it helps out certain drivers, as
Yeah.
we're going to talk about later today.
Talk about.
Yeah.
You're the luckiest man on the grid.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Tiago. So
Yeah.
it's
It
just
was a
Andre
lady.
he goes and introduces himself, doesn't introduce me.
Can you not introduce yourself? Do you not know how to
He
speak?
didn't give me a chance.
Well, yeah, this is Tiago, or Tiggs, as we like to call him, in the headquarters of LMF1O media group, which is just the dingy basement. But
Oh yeah, there we go. I was about to say, it's just a fancy name for the venue where we were talking from.
But yeah, okay, let's talk about this weekend. So we're gonna start off with a little bit of quali. If you still remember what happened in quali.
Just a bit of a throwback, but yeah, let's try.
So yeah, quali was a little bit interesting in Q1. You had a bit of drivers trying to get the grip down. Logan Sargent was one of the big ones where he spun out a little bit.
I really feel for Logan in a way,
Yeah,
because
same.
I'm sure we're going to talk about this, so why not actually jump right into it?
Exactly.
He had a really good race in Bahrain, I feel. Good quality too.
I 100% agree.
I feel like he was very close to Albon, there or thereabouts, which is really awesome for a rookie driver, especially because I do rate Albon quite highly. I feel like he was a little bit unlucky with his stint at Red Bull, and I think that he's doing well at Williams now, given the machinery they have. And for Logan Sargent to just jump in and be as on the pace as he was, I think it was really good. Will he be slower than Albon? Of course he will. He's still a rookie.
No, it's normal too.
But at the same time, I think that he's been doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I do believe that the team principal did say this, but it's likely that Logan Sargent got a little bit flustered by getting that by getting his lap time deleted.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, big time. You saw him fumble the bag so hard, and it was something so simple as well. So I think he kind of just panicked a little bit and was just like, "Cuck, I need to get a time in as quick as possible because I'm gonna get knocked out of Q1." And then we just kept seeing him just fumble and fumble and fumble, and it wasn't a bad time from what I remember before the deletion. He got a relatively good time.
I think so. And the thing though is that the lap that he got deleted was actually a decent one. And it kind of sucks. But if I think about his career, starting from now, like he's starting his F1 career now, I think that it will be a very good learning experience in that, if you mess up on your first run in Q1, not the end of the world.
It's not.
You kind of just have to build up again. try and get that confidence back, which I don't really feel like he lost the confidence.
Yeah,
he just,
especially when we see in the race, dude, he was like behind Albon again, and then Albon had his little.
And he had some good scraps also, like. But we'll get to the race later.
He almost got into the points from what I remember.
Yeah, no, I think that he got a bit unlucky.
Yeah.
Does he need to fix that for future races?
Probably.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a learning curve. He's a rookie, and we're obviously going to be lighter on a rookie. It's kind of normal.
Obviously.
It's he's doing well. He's doing really well. I was going to compare him to maybe other rookies on the grid, but I mean, if we look at someone like Piastri, also doesn't have a great car.
Yeah.
Awesome qualifying though.
That was a really good qualifying, and it's crazy considering that like the whole how Lando just went out just so abruptly, and then we're like, oh no, it's gonna be another like double DNF in quali for McLaren again. Or they're going to get knocked out in Q1 or something stupid like that.
Sure.
And then Piastri just bounces back, especially after that horrendous weekend at Bahrain. That was just terrible. But it was nice to see that. Although we're going to get to what happens in the race, it was nice leading up to the race. I'm just going to say that.
Okay, cool. So if we look though at Piastri's qualifying, which is, like you say, compared to the previous race weekend, he did really, really well. He showed that McLaren has some pace, at least for qualifying. It's got a little bit of one lap pace, nowhere close to maybe where it should be, given the last few years of McLaren's success, fighting for fourths and thirds.
Yeah, now they're like barely fighting.
There we go.
Not be lost.
There we go. But let's also see. They're not in a great position.
Yeah,
beginning of last year, they were also not in a great position. They're worse this year. Not gonna lie.
Way worse.
But let's see where they go.
Yeah.
I think that it's really good that they've got two drivers who are capable. Norris did stuff up fairly badly. That was completely on Norris.
But if Ricardo was still here, it would have been a double DNF in Q1, or like been a
Please
double
don't
knockout.
hate on my boy.
Listen, the banter is real, okay?
For sure.
The banter is real. Ricardo was fumbling the bag hard. He was fumbling it so hard.
No,
would have been straight to qualifying session wait, I'm trying to gather my thoughts.
Both of them DNFing.
Yeah, DNFing in Q1. There we go. That's what I meant. Like, let's be fair. You know, all of the Ricardo fans be like, "Oh, but it's McLaren. McLaren did him dirty."
Nah, he did himself dirty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, mate.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
he was focusing on getting the bag and not the seats. So
perhaps, I don't know. I just feel like Ricardo's a little bit. His confidence was at
washed.
Well, his confidence was at a low. You don't forget how to drive. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what was happening. But let's see. I don't particularly see him getting back on the grid.
Yeah, me neither.
It's difficult. But let's see. I think he still has some fight left in him. Maybe he can surprise us in the future somehow.
I really doubt it.
But back to McLaren's qualifying.
Yes.
I think that Piastri did a bang-up job. He did really well.
I 100% agree.
And I think that McLaren now is going to thrive off having two drivers who are, let's be honest, really good. You are hopefully not going to get one driver who's carrying the team.
Yeah.
And both are going to be scoring points consistently once they get that car fixed, right?
Right.
But let's see where that goes.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry guys, if you do hear our dog panting and whatever, she does really like our company. So I apologize for that already from now.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, good to clear the air.
Maybe she has some opinions that will be spicy. Who knows?
Wait, let's check. Come on.
Sabi, what do you think will happen this weekend? She rather... she keeps her thoughts to herself. Cards close to the chest, I like.
So another quite interesting team in qualifying is Haas. So we've been seeing in both race weekends, they seem to be very good one lap pace, and this is further emphasized by Haas saying that they were very scared about the tire wear during the race because they're so used to they're assuming they built the car very similar to how Ferrari does, where it's just a lot of tire usage.
They are based in Maranello.
Haha. White Ferrari. Anyways, Yeah, so
Says the
especially
guy who supports Aston Martin. But anyway, let's carry on.
Okay.
Let's,
You wanna play that? You wanna play that?
Carry on.
You wanna play
No,
that?
I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Okay.
But yeah, carry on.
2 different cars. Anyways, so yeah, what's quite interesting is Nico Hulkenberg doing the exact same thing 2 weekends in a row, in 2 race weekends in a row, which is do quite decently to well in the qualifying session, but when it comes to the race, he just, I don't know, something just doesn't click in his head, and he just kind of just falls away. And then that's when what's his teammate's name again?
Sure.
We forgot
K-Mag, if you are listening to this, because we know that K-Mag listens every week.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's always listening.
My boy
Big brother.
K-Mag, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my brothers.
I apologize greatly.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
K-Mag,
but carry on.
Sorry, Daddy K-Mag. Anyways, so K-Mag, he does really well in the race, as we see time and time again. That overtake for the last points finish on Yuki Tsunoda during the race was just absolutely perfect. But I think right now it's his 1 lap pace that's really lacking, and I kind of expect a little bit more from someone who has been on the grid for about a year now. So yeah, he's a little bit more in tune with the car than, for example, Nico Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry, Nico, my brother's also forgetting your name. The whole paddock listens to our podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait until I start tuning Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. That's gonna be interesting.
That's gonna be.
He's gonna come after us. So yeah.
Christian's gonna tell us to change our effing car, right?
Change our podcast. Yeah. So yeah. What else in quali? Oh yeah, your boy Max Verstappen. Let's talk about that.
Okay, sure. Well, what do you want to talk about, Max? I think that no one can doubt that Max was on for a pole.
Yeah, big time. Maybe
Checo put on a really good time. Don't get me wrong.
Especially initially off. So
it would have been cool to actually see the fights. But reliability not looking great for the Red Bull, hey. And not only in qualifying, I mean, we'll also get to the race maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll talk about this later, but it's
will.
quite crazy that Max was talking about like things not feeling great in his car. I'm not sure if it was related to the drive shaft or gearbox or any of the changed components. But
it's a high whine noise. Or
yeah, well, at least that's what we heard over the radio. But now I don't know if that was the issue he was feeling or not. But it bodes well for the other teams.
Yeah.
But for Red Bull,
momentarily,
I think that it's something that they're really going to have to look into. I trust Red Bull to fix the issue. They're one of those teams that, I mean, we saw last year how they jumped onto the issues they had in the first 2 races really quickly, and then that Red Bull was flipping reliable pretty much the whole year. So if anyone can fix it quickly and within, well, I don't know if I should say within the cost cap, but anyway. It's catering, guys. It's catering. It's catering.
Classic.
But anyway, I think that they can do it. It just comes down to them finding out what the issue was. But it was strange in a way to see the Red Bulls a little bit unreliable like that. And I mean, them asking them in the race, maybe we'll speak about this later, I don't know.
Yeah.
But asking them in a race to keep to a certain pace, to not overstress the car. Interesting.
Very interesting.
It's really interesting. I don't know if it's interesting because their car maybe couldn't take the strain of putting it to full tilt the whole time. Actually, now that I come to think of it, in the last race also, didn't they turn down the engines? At least that's what I heard. They turned down the engines towards the end of the race.
Well, I don't know if it turned down, but Max was asking if he could go faster, and then they said, no, don't.
Yeah, so who knows? Who knows if that had anything to do with it? I don't think so. But, hey, maybe they're preserving some components and they're just not letting the cat out the bag.
Yeah. I'm of that opinion as well.
But well up to Checo. He did put in a banger of a lap.
And was the first lap of it wasn't on the second run, it was on the first run.
Was it first run?
Yeah, it was the first run, from what I understand. So the track is obviously not as rubbered in as the second run. It kind of reminds me of like the whole Lewis 2018 Singapore spiel, where he went out on the first run and then set a time that no one could really touch and no one thought was touchable.
Yeah.
But yeah, No, kudos to Checo.
No, kudos to him. I mean, he took advantage of the Max being out. As he should. I mean, that's what Red Bull has him there for.
Yeah. I still doubt that it would have been a clean sweep for Max, but yeah, it would have been quite interesting. But yeah, obviously, let's go to Aston.
He's not biased, guys. Remember, he's not biased.
No, centralist.
He's not biased. Daddy Stroll is not he doesn't have a poster of Daddy Stroll in his room or anything.
Centralist.
Yes.
Unbiased.
Green Santa Claus, eh?
Uncorruptible news source. So
he is outraged, by the way.
I am outraged by the claims. I am outraged by the claims that this podcast is just biased. Anyways, yeah, so it was quite interesting to see Stroll first and second sector. By the second sector, he was 0.05 off of Checo, and that was pretty crazy.
Which was insane, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it was turn 22 or 27, one of the two, that he says he lost it a little bit.
There are 5 corners between the first option you said and the second.
I know. Whatever.
Nah, just messing with you, man.
Third sector.
Yeah, that third sector. I was so excited to actually see Stroll.
That would have been crazy.
I don't think he would have. Yeah, he would have top 3'd. I don't think that he would have beat Checo's time. Yeah. Let's be realistic. Yeah. But damn, it was
possible.
Jeez, not biased, guys. Not biased at all. But it was really cool to see him have that sort of pace in him. We know that Stroll on his day can do well. I mean, I know it was a very slippery track, but we remember Turkey. Was it 2021?
2020.
Was it 2020?
2020.
Yeah. That was just an amazing time that he put on there.
2019 as well, during the race where he did pretty well. He narrowly missed out on a podium.
So yeah, he's got his days. Stroll has his days. And I quite frankly don't understand the major hate on him.
Yeah. I think it's starting to die down with the whole Aston hype.
Yeah, Aston's built a good car, and now Stroll can also show that he knows what he's doing.
Especially during the race. We're going to talk about that later, but yeah.
Well, it wasn't his fault. What happened to him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that they've true. But they've done well. Aston have built an amazing car this year.
Yeah, now I'm 100% convinced. You know, like since the inception of Aston, I've been a fan. So since Racing Point or Tracing Point 2020. Yeah, I was quite keen because it was like a cool green and a cool brand.
Yeah.
And then it was a 3-year stint of utter garbage where
it really was.
Where my team was continuously called the retirement home team.
But at the same time, towards the end of last year, it was quite interesting to see them.
Yeah, the bounce back.
Them bouncing back with their development. So well up on them.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. But yeah, I was really cautiously optimistic when Fernando was saying that preseason testing was going fantastically. I was like,
Then again, Alonso's Alonso, and we know that.
Shit stirrer, like shit posted kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean, we see like from his TikToks and stuff, which is absolutely genius. I love this man.
Oh.
But yeah, no. Then we see Bahrain, Lance with a almost destroyed wrist, beating one of the Mercs, and it was George Russell, so probably arguably the better driver at the moment in Mercedes,
or at least the one who's getting the most pace out of the car right now, it seems. Obviously don't count out Lewis because he still is a champ.
Never
but
count out Lewis.
As we saw with this race also in this quali,
this race was
George
rough.
just had the upper hand.
Yeah, it was rough. But that's I guess a segue onto Mercedes. Let's just recap quickly. Fernando Alonso obviously got the P2 after Charles got absolutely destroyed by the grid penalty. And then Lance, fifth. Yeah, after the penalty as well. Fifth. Yeah. So now we go on to Mercedes, which is the carbon fiber bare bone tractor.
Nice.
Most
overbuilt tractor in the world, clearly.
Yeah, clearly. I don't know what's up though.
Although, I must say, they finished higher up this week than I thought they would. I feel like Mercedes, given the car that they have,
as well, it's quite crazy.
So I don't know if that was a blunder on Ferrari's side, or if that was we kind of seem to expect that from them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was a blunder from Ferrari's side, or if we're looking more at the Mercedes actually showing their true pace. Remember that each track is a little different. Bahrain is more often than not an outlier. So maybe we're seeing Merc where they are.
Yes.
I think that in general, both qualifying and the race, it leads me to just think, geez, Toto, you were really over-exaggerating about
yeah.
having the worst car and that nothing can work. Sure, you're not
coming
fighting
after
at the
you.
top. And realistically, it looks like you guys have either the third or fourth best car on the grid.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that the Ferrari and Mercs in certain situations are not too far from each other.
Yeah. Big time.
But yeah, let's see. I do not think that they're as bad as they claim they are. And it's going to be really cool because I feel like for second, third, and fourth, it's going to be a very interesting battle this year. And maybe even first will come into the mix depending on the development throughout the year. We'll see we'll see also if the penalty that Red Bull got for their catering, if it's going to affect them later on in the season. It might not. I don't have enough knowledge to talk about that. It'll be interesting to keep an eye out on that.
I 100% agree. And now that we got the Mercedes out of the way, which with George obviously qualifying in front of Lewis by quite a substantial amount as well.
Yes.
We're going to go on to the clown show. Okay, yeah, Ferrari.
I'm not sure if you should keep your voice or if you should just, put in the soundtrack there. Sorry, guys, we are not a professional sound-making machine, so
I think
kind of have to live with it.
The copyrights, the royalties for the actual song is probably like quite a bit.
Let's keep it on the cheap.
So let's just use the okay. Anyways, so yeah, Charles did really well in qualifying. Was only about a tenth off of Checo Perez, which is a master at the street circuit. So
he kind of had
kudos.
to.
Kudos. Yeah, he had to.
Kind of had to. I mean, we already know that he was going into this race with a penalty, with a 10-place grid penalty, which I find absurd in a way. I mean, how can you?
Start of the season, mate.
It's the second race of the season. You're already taking an engine penalty. Like, how badly built is your car? Like,
like ridiculous.
I mean, last year we were talking about Ferrari being Ferrari, but this is next level in terms of just have your components work, guys. Like, come on,
dude.
We want to see a good fight at the top of the grid.
We don't want to see Max Verstappen run away with it from like P20 or something.
No, of course we don't. And even if he does, then at least let's have a good fight for second and third in the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, those who don't know me might not know that I don't necessarily particularly care about who wins the actual championship.
He's lying.
Well,
he's lying.
I'm a Max fan in a way, fair enough. But my point here is that there's the rest of the grid to look at. There's the rest of the log to try and look at. We're not only looking at who wins the league. The battle for second and third and fourth is really interesting.
Exactly.
Everywhere down the grid, you've got some really cool battles. And I mean, we even saw this come the race, and I think I mentioned it a bit earlier, the McLarens fighting with Logan Sargent. I mean,
that was crazy.
That was really cool to see. And not only them, I mean, there was a bunch of battles going on.
What is it, K-Mag and Yuki Tsunoda, where he goes around the outside. That was
crazy.
Madness, yeah.
So, like, I think that just looking at the front of the field is a flawed way of watching this amazing sport. So, I don't know. I think that it's really good to just look at the field as a whole, not just the first and second place. But going back to Ferrari, Ferrari. Like, how can you really have a car that
bad?
That you have to replace the control electronics to a third unit in the second race. Yeah.
Hopefully, Fred Vasseur does something quite substantial with the team. Obviously, it's his first year. He was replaced he came in very late. You can't do shit at all.
No, of course not.
If we're gonna be honest.
No, of course.
But yeah, no, I'm keen to see where he is going. And before we transition to the race, I'm pretty sure we didn't miss anyone. Oh, maybe the Alpines will glance over that real quick.
The Alpines did, in my opinion, fairly well. Yeah. They both made it to Q3, no?
Yes. Okay. Ocon qualified quite highly as well.
Yeah, so I think it was really good to see them do well,
especially
given
considering where they were last
week. The nonsense last week, exactly. I don't know. I still expect fireworks to occur from that team. How will reliability work out throughout the year?
That's what
I don't know.
What I'm scared of.
But for now, they seem okay, and they seemed okay in this race.
Yeah. I do agree. Okay, so Gasly and Ocon both into Q3, Pierre Gasly, and and then just a quick glance with Carlos, who's been a little bit of drowning,
And I
if we
hate
can
that
say.
because I love Carlos. I really
Carlos
do.
is cool.
I
Carlos
think
is
that
cool.
he's quite, let's say, wholesome. I know wholesome doesn't win races.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Daniel Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher. Yeah, what were you saying?
As you guys can see, he's a hater unless you're
No,
talking about
I'm
Aston.
centralist opinions,
okay.
non-biased.
Okay,
The
But,
greatest news source
for
on
sure.
the internet.
of course. So, yeah, no, you made me lose my thought process.
Talking about Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz, he's I really rate him highly as a driver.
Me
Why
too.
is he not getting the most out of the Ferrari? I don't know. At the same time, I do also recognize that Leclerc is a flippin' beast.
Talent-wise,
He's got a lot of natural talent,
yeah.
something that Carlos doesn't necessarily have in
Yes.
as much of a quantity as Leclerc has.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's Leclerc wrestling the car as well as he does, or if it's Carlos just, I don't know, not gelling well with the car this year. I don't know. I do hope that in the next few races he does do a bit better, that he gets more in tune with the car. Yeah, let's see, I guess. Any thoughts on your
100%.
side on Carlos?
The issue is that I think what he does is he probably like either scrubs the tires too hard
Maybe.
or tries to carry too much speed throughout the beginning of the race, and then you see his tire wear get absolutely destroyed. I mean, but even so, even if we're gonna use the whole start of the race thing, I mean, Lance took him around the outside.
That was a
Lap
beautiful
one.
overtake,
That was a
by the way.
beautiful one. I loved it. No bias, but like I loved it. Around the outside, it was ridiculous to see him like kind of struggle that much. And at the end of the race, we were like, Leclerc literally being, I think it was behind him. I don't think you finished in front of him, but to be literally behind your teammate and you like start what P12.
Yeah, he got quite the penalty, and then Leclerc got quite the penalty.
Yeah,
So
that's hectic.
it's not great, but it is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's also not talk too much about the race before we get to the race.
Yeah, no, now we're going to go to the race. Now
Okay.
it's the race section.
The race section.
The races section.
Guys, I'm sorry. I feel like, and girls, I feel like this is all a little bit jumbled up in terms of what we're addressing when.
Yeah, this
So-
is the train of thoughts just go.
Do forgive us also.
Yeah.
It is our first ebook, according to Andre.
Ebook, yes.
According to Andre,
Yes.
first ebook. But anyway. But we'll get the hang of it. If you guys have any suggestions, please do leave them down in the comments below. I don't know why people say comments below, because the comments are always below.
We're
It's
going to
not
get
like
a comment from Total Wolf.
probably telling us to change our
Change
podcast.
our-
Oh no, that's Christian. Yeah, I know Toto's just going to tell us that he's already printed it out. He's printed out the
sent
transcript.
us an email. Sent
That's
us an
too, yeah.
email.
This isn't right, Michael.
This is not right. But yeah, going on to the race, let's talk about lap one. Lap one, a lot of crazy stuff was happening, and I think it just showed the pure potential of this rule set when people are given enough time to like understand how these things work. And then we just see Fernando Alonso just absolutely send it on Checo Perez. Obviously the Lance Stroll overtake, but more importantly,
Before y-
Charles with the 3 places gained in one lap.
No, that was really good. But before you talk too much about your boy Alonso, I think that it's also important to just have a look at the penalty that he ended up getting for for being out the grid
let's
box.
talk about before the race. So obviously Alonso comes in and he doesn't line up with the grid slot.
Yeah.
In second place.
And fair enough. What happens to a
5
person that does that?
seconds.
I mean, I've heard people say that he was trying to be Ocon this race. Getting
What?
because he got the penalty for being outside the grid,
He
and then
misses Alpine so
all
much.
of the nonsense and all of the nonsense that happened afterwards. With does he get an extra penalty for not serving it properly and all of that? So people
was
were joking
depressing.
around that Alonso was trying to be Ocon this weekend.
Yes.
But
That's depressing.
was it a fair penalty? Of
Yes,
course it
of
was.
course it was.
It was
Rules are
outside.
rules, yeah.
Exactly. I don't think he would have argued too much of that.
Yeah.
What he did argue at some points, and this is just talking about how he got the additional 10-second penalty post-race, which I
Yes.
think is absurd. How can you get a post-race penalty for something that happened quite early on in the race? Do correct me if I'm
the
wrong.
whole time.
But
yeah.
most of the pit stops happened around about lap 20, give or take.
Safety car. So safety car,
but it was before the safety car that a bunch of them pitted. I think.
No, but the Aston was in pits.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough.
Aston was in.
He was, yeah. Because I remember there were some people wondering,
car.
are you allowed to serve penalties under safety cars and whatever? But anyway, so yeah, he did serve it under the safety car, but that was relatively early in the race, or like around the middle of the race. You're telling me that they had almost 30 laps to decide whether a jack had touched the car or not, and not only that. They then had to decide whether that was in accordance with the rules or not. I think that that's a bit much. Come on, FIA. I mean, I'm not the sort of guy to go after the FIA. Yeah, I'm really not.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to be able to know what penalties are applied during the race. I understand when something starts happening towards the end of the race. That's a bit difficult to then, have things looked at and decided before the end of the race. Sure. But something that happened that early should have been adjudicated earlier. And it could have also given Fernando a little bit of time to, I don't know if he could have opened up a 10-second gap on Russell. But he most definitely would have tried. I feel like he was very comfortable driving the car in the way that he was. He felt like he was getting decent tire wear. Could he push more? Maybe. I don't know. We see that Russell was struggling, but he was pushing that car as much as he could because there was that potential for that penalty towards the end of the race. And as soon as Fernando heard that Russell was pushing and that he might get a 5-second penalty, he was like, okay, cool. And then did you see the gap? Did you see what happened? It started growing.
5 seconds, 5.1, yeah.
It started growing. So could he have made that extra gap? I don't know. But if he had known earlier, they got more opportunities to play around that. And not in a bad way, in a way of like mitigating against penalties, because I mean that's just part of racing. So kind of sucks that the FIA dropped the ball a little bit there.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it being overturned. Don't get me wrong, guys. Please don't murder me in the comments. I do like Fernando in a way.
I'm with the same opinion.
I feel like at times he's a little bit obnoxious, but at the same time, that's why everyone loves him. Like, let's be honest. It's the controversy that he stirs that everyone likes about him. And just because he's a flippin' brilliant driver, I can't take that away from him. But I think that had this happened to any other driver, let's just put two other names in here. Had this happened to Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton, the opposing fan bases would have gone crazy. Can you just imagine? Can you imagine that if Lewis had gotten this penalty, this now extra penalty for not serving it correctly, everyone, and then say that penalty got revoked like it did for Alonso, right? Everyone who's a Max Verstappen supporter or a Red Bull supporter or anyone who just dislikes Hamilton for any reason would have just looked at him or would have just looked at this thing and saying, FIA is biased, FIA is rigged, yada, yada, yada. Then, if it were the other way around, if Max had gotten this penalty, everyone who doesn't like him, which seems to be a lot of people at the moment, would have just turned around and said, FIA, what are you doing? This is unacceptable. Like, the jack clearly touched the car.
Yeah.
And I just think that, and okay, we understand that F1 fans and F1 Twitter is F1 Twitter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like Nando in a way is lucky that he's Nando here because no one went against the FIA for lifting the penalty. It's just one of those things.
No, wasn't it Aston? Oh wait, no. Oh no,
for lifting the penalty.
Sorry, my bad. I
so it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't know. I'm okay with anything. Whatever they choose, but
it needs to be
consistent from now, especially from now on. If now they want to change the rule set and say, hey, the jack isn't even allowed to touch the car.
Yeah.
Fair, no problem. Next drivers meeting or next team principals meeting or whatever, you bring it up and you say, hey, we had this issue before. Now we see that it might be an issue and we want things to be run this way. Okay? All good? Everyone knows this rule now and now it's fair game. Like, I don't care what happened like flipping 50 years ago and how things were done then. This is how we're taking things from now on. So
I 100%.
I think that they must just be clear with what they want, like they did, and they didn't do this to the best, but with track limits. When there was the whole track limits thing, they now come up with the rules where you've got to have this or you got to get that, and that's what counts as track limits. Do the same for as many rules as you can. I understand that not every situation is the same, but the more you can have a set rule, the less people will complain when a decision is taken.
Yeah. 100%.
Sorry for my rant there, guys.
Yeah, that was a long one as well.
No, it was, but I just feel like it's important for us because F1 in this last, especially 2-3 years, ever since Abu Dhabi 2020, was it 2020? It was 2021. Ever since Abu Dhabi, then the FIA has, especially since then, the FIA hasn't had the best, haven't been the most favorable organization. People haven't looked at them favorably, rather. And I think that they need to work on that, not by trying to appease people, by being hard asses. Sorry about how I say that. They've got to lay down the law. Why do people get to argue so much? I'm not against the appeal process. I'm really not. But have the rule, enforce the rule.
Yeah.
People don't like it. Well, this is what it says in the rule book.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents.
100% agree. Yeah. Yeah, that's quite straightforward. There's probably going to be like 1 or 2 people who disagree with that, Nando fans. But yeah, what else happened in the race then? So Charles Leclerc, villain arc.
Oh, I love that.
Sicko mode.
I think it was really good because people have focused. Sorry to be taking
No, go ahead.
taking a bit away from you.
I was literally not going to say anything.
No, but what I was going to say is that I think that it's really good to see from him. Many people have commented, and I agree with those comments, that he didn't necessarily seem to have that fire that a world champion would have.
Yeah.
I mean, you clearly know when Max is unhappy with the car. You clearly know when Lewis is unhappy with the car. They don't hide it.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily tune their team, in an ugly way or something like that. But they make it known that they don't like the car and what they need changed. From what we can see from the outside, of course, I feel like Leclerc hasn't really done that much. And in a way, it was kind of good to see him push back against his team. This is going back to qualifying. Sorry, guys. I told you everything is mixed.
Yeah, it's just whatever comes to mind.
But we saw that there was someone coming up. I can't remember who it was. Or was it during... No, it was during the race. My bad, guys. It was during the race. During the safety car. During the safety car, there was a place where he could have gone faster between certain timing lines or whatever.
I was going to mention that. It was so dumb.
And his engineer told him too late. I mean, come on, Ferrari. We've already ragged on you a little bit, so we'll take it a bit easy on Ferrari this time. But what I liked seeing was that Charles is now willing to put his foot down, saying, no, guys, you need to tell me this earlier. I mean, last week, last race rather, he had a meeting. He basically summoned the principal of Ferrari, who in the history of Ferrari drivers has had that pull.
Not even Gilles Villeneuve.
You can count them in less than the number of fingers that are on your hand.
Yeah.
The number of drivers for Ferrari that have had the sway, that can look at Ferrari and say, listen, Mr. President of Ferrari, meeting now. We need to change this.
Hectic.
Like, how hectic is that? And not only about we're not only looking at about the sway that he pulls, but the flipping balls he has to do have to do that. I think that it's a very good move from him. I personally think that that's the only way anything is going to change at Ferrari.
Big time.
It's good to see that, at least from what we know, Fred Vasseur probably has his back. Because, they've raced together in junior series.
I think that's the kind of straw that broke the camel's back in a certain way.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's quite interesting because we have, like, so many examples throughout history of, like, Ferrari drivers being like, oh, this car drives like shit.
And then they get kicked out for it.
Nigel Mansell's the best example of it.
Alan Prost also.
Alan Prost as well. That whole 90s stretch. I mean, obviously, then you still have, like, Niki Lauda.
No, but Nicky's Nicky, and I think that Enzo appreciated him for him.
As well. I don't know if you tune them, but like we had a lot of sway with Enzo Ferrari.
Sure.
But yeah, it's incredible to continue that streak because, like, I mean, he knows he's got them by the balls.
Sure. By
the big balls. But that
spark when they scrape on the ground, those ones.
No. This is the coward balls.
Oh, okay.
This is
okay.
This is the scary balls.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I cannot wait to see more.
I'm sorry if there are any children listening to this.
Yeah, you shouldn't be listening. Where are your parents? I want to see more villain, more Homelander, Charles Leclerc moments.
Excuse me?
It'll be great. It'll be great.
No, I think it would be really cool. I think that he needs to put his foot down more, and it's lovely to see.
And also, onto the point of Ferrari telling Charles too late, that happened the entire weekend, even during quali and the free practice sessions.
And this,
where just teams were not telling their drivers when they were getting like there was a faster guy behind them. I mean, we saw with Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, I think it was FP3. I stand corrected, maybe. But yeah, no. It was incredible how frequently that happened.
Sure. Keep in mind also that we're looking at a track where it's very important for people to know where other people are.
It's dangerous.
I'm glad that the changes have been made to the track, and we didn't touch on this, but we can't talk about everything.
Yeah.
But the changes made to the track really do help. Could there be more done? Maybe. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
It helps in terms of visibility, knowing what's around a corner, but still the race engineers are very important for that job, especially at a track like Jeddah.
Yeah, 100%. And it's still crazy that we're having like these quote unquote visibility issues, even though they made changes to ensure that wouldn't happen, and they're still happening because that's just the nature of the circuit. But then that means that teams have got to react faster. I think maybe what the teams are doing is they kind of have the Bahrain mentality where it's like, I don't have to tell immediately because it's Bahrain, everyone knows how to get out of the way. But like Jeddah, you need to be way more alert. And yeah, I think it was quite unprofessional of a lot of the teams to be doing these things, to not be reacting as fast as they can.
I mean, did we see a certain person who I was very surprised didn't get a penalty? Maybe I don't understand the rule. Also, please don't murder me,
George
guys.
Russell.
But George, exactly.
Yeah. George Russell impeding in quali on Carlos's lap.
Was it Carlos? Yeah.
Yeah, Carlos. I don't know, as you say, I do not know how he didn't get a penalty for that. There might be some crazy explanation out there. Please let us know.
And maybe also, guys, we don't understand the rule around this, so please don't crucify us.
Yeah.
We would appreciate like a comment telling us if there is a different way to.
No, of course, but
this.
from our understanding.
Yeah, from what we know now.
Yeah,
sure.
from our understanding at the current moment. You know, maybe I'm like, I don't know, WEC rules or DTM rules. But, like that is impeding.
I felt like it was
impeding.
Because he was in the line where Carlos would have taken.
Yeah, exactly. The outside line or the exit that Carlos would have used if he wasn't there.
Sure.
And that definitely killed his lap time.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have changed where he qualified, but yeah, that's a big no-no from me. And yeah, let's what else happened in the race? So yeah, the Mercs, George seeming to struggle to extract pace as much Lewis way more than George.
Lewis way more, yeah.
Yeah, but Georgie wasn't doing too badly. I actually think a pretty solid drive from him as well.
I agree with you. I think that George was doing well. I think that he got himself into some nice scraps there. He also was trying to keep his position as best as possible. I think that he put in a hell of an effort towards the end of the race to try and maintain those 5 seconds just in case that there was a penalty. I mean, I don't know why they thought it would be a 5-second penalty, because if we saw the case with Ocon last week, it was going to be 10. But either way, that's besides the point. I think well up on him to try and just, wrangle that car as high up as he could, staying as close to Nando as exactly. No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. How crazy was his effort to keep it there? I just think that it was a really good effort from George this weekend. I don't think that he could have done anything much better in terms of like the final classification. So yeah, I think George had a good race.
No, I 100% agree. Obviously, can't say much for Lewis, and that breaks my heart a little bit, being as an unbiased Lewis fan. We need to see how it goes along. The issue with Lewis is the first half of the season, he tends to drive like mid, but then the second half, we'll see what happens. He needs to up his game. But yeah, moving on.
And Mercedes also need to up their game.
Yeah, big time.
Because let's see, they've got to either be radical and change the design, which I don't think they'll do just because of the cost cap. They'll probably do that for next season. But they've got to do something. Either bring some upgrades that will give them marginally a little bit more performance. So they've got to do something.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that hits the nail on the head. Now, moving on, we going to the Astons with Fernando Alonso doing pretty decently.
Your boy Nando.
Yeah, he's doing decently if he isn't acquiring time penalties. And then we have the conspiracy theory of the race.
What's the conspiracy
The FIA is back at it with the bribery claims. So...
I can't believe you're bringing this up as a conspiracy theory.
It's
like
conspiracy. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty damning evidence, if you ask me.
No, for sure. Hey, I mean,
in the world where you think that pigeons are surveillance drones, but
and that the world is flat. Nice.
Yeah, and the world is flat.
We're about to get a bunch of dislikes right now on this.
So yeah, if you don't know what we're referring to, we are referring to Lance Stroll, whose car decided to become a vape machine. So he goes So he goes to the runoff area, and quite well he does as much of a good job as he can to not disrupt the flow of the race. And then the FIA was caught sleeping, I'd say. And then they're like, yeah, Lamau, safety car. And then, which was not a safety car. That did not deserve to be a safety car. That was VSC.
At most a VSC. I think double waved yellows even could have taken the car out. It was right there by the exit.
Like big time. That was a big blunder. That allowed Max to get a free pit,
and I was about
Ferrari to not benefit at all because they just pitted. So,
and I was about to say, like,
unlucky.
I'm a Max fan. And even I'm saying that was a little bit of a dodge call to bring out the safety car. Max was over a pit stop behind. So this was very advantageous to Max. The only reason, in my opinion, that I feel like at the end of the race he was as close to Checo as he was, even though it's 5 seconds. But I mean, I don't know if he would have gotten that second place without the safety car, especially given the potential reliability concerns that Red Bull had.
Yeah, especially towards the end. Like,
might have gotten a
even
third.
The Mercs.
They got fortunate. I think that Max got fortunate in this race.
Big time.
Due to that safety car. But yes, I agree with you 100%. I don't think that was
it was unnecessary. Yeah, which is a shame because I feel like after the safety car, the quality of racing kind of just went down and was like.
Do you think so? I don't know. Like, okay, maybe
midfielders. So for people trying to fight for points or no points, it was great. McLaren and Logan Sargent, America versus the world apparently, and yeah, or the America and I don't know, British colonies and stuff. So like Civil War, but
we'll call Captain America.
Or quick. Captain America, no, not that one. But yeah, or it was K-Mag and Yuki with that crazy battle for a while, and even what's his name again? Nico Hulkenberg. We do not like Haas drivers. We do not like Haas drivers. Clearly,
I remember your name, Nico. Please don't forget me.
Yeah, please. But yeah,
no, forget him. He doesn't know your name.
No, but yeah, it was a cool battle, and it's very nice to see that Haas is not as useless as I thought they were going to be. They I think, like, if it wasn't for Nico Hulkenberg's screw up in Bahrain, they probably could have gotten points earlier. But yeah, the McLaren is the new Williams, apparently, which is quite interesting.
I think it's too early to say.
With the luck and all that?
Maybe, but the thing is that at least they've got points. I think that at this point...
McLaren doesn't have points.
The McLaren... I thought you were talking about us. My bad. Sorry, guys. No, I agree. Right now, I think that McLaren does seem to be... not looking great. And yeah, to our one friend who might or might not listen to this, I'm so sorry.
Who knows?
We will we'll cry for you a little bit, but then we'll go and celebrate the wins of our drivers.
Sucks to be you. Sucks to be you. Can't relate. 3 years of pain.
We are unbiased.
We are unbiased
individuals.
From my unbiased
neutrals.
My neutral perspective. My neutral perspective is catch this L, mate. Sucks to be you. Anyways,
that is a completely neutral take.
Completely neutral based opinion that isn't influenced by the fact that I support Aston Martin.
Or that I support Red Bull.
I don't support Aston Martin. It's just fabricated by the fake media.
The same guys who are making the stories
blogs,
about exactly.
What is it?
We are trying to avoid a lawsuit.
What's that stupid website?
Oh, we can't name names here. They're gonna come and take us down.
Yeah, well, I love that website. It's where I get a lot of my information. It's where I get a lot of my information. I love you guys. Anyways, yeah, is there anything else to talk about that is quite substantial? Australia's in quite a bit, but yeah, that's
I think that it might still be useful for us to talk a little bit about the Red Bull beef. Or the potential Red Bull beef.
We about that.
We are all from the outside, so everything that we say, do say, is all alleged, is all speculation.
Take it with a grain of salt, please.
Exactly. We don't want to be peddling incorrect information. But it was quite interesting to see how the Red Bull drivers don't seem to be getting along in the best way. Checo during the race was visibly frustrated when the race engineers told him to keep a 133 per lap or whatever, and he was worried that Max would catch up to him because, I mean, he's not stupid. He knows Max's pace.
And also Max was just getting bam,
and Max was
bam,
bolting.
We also saw
how Checo was upset once he found out that Max had taken the fastest lap away from him. Because,
in the press conference.
Because he would have. The thing is, he would have gone for it if he were allowed to. If he knew that Max was going for it, even he would have gone for it. So I really hope, as a unbiased Red Bull fan, that they sort their crap out. I mean, I know that everyone knows who's the number one driver and number two driver in that team.
Yeah, it's as clear
it's
as
very
day,
clear.
Dude. Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like if Checo doesn't toe the line, or it's going to come out wrong if I say that. But what I'm saying is, if the two of them don't get along or don't agree to certain terms, whatever those terms might be, we're going to have fireworks. Red Bull needs to do a little bit of driver management right now.
Yes,
Checo always has to feel like he's still in it in terms of having a shot at the championship.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be fireworks.
He's
going to do his own thing. Exactly. We're going to get a Mark Webber situation. We don't want that.
Or a Nico Rosberg situation.
But that is what it is. In my opinion, I think that Red Bull should just let them race. That's just my way of seeing it. Of course, within reason. We don't want to destroy cars.
I do. But as from a neutral standpoint.
From a neutral
standpoint.
Of a person who wears green.
Maybe or maybe not. Yes. Okay. Or from a neutral standpoint that wants better racing and better entertainment value.
Yes.
It would be hilarious to see them. Okay, maybe
I
not
get
hilarious,
that, but I mean,
I'd like to see some fighting.
We've seen other teams how they failed to handle it properly. Cough, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. That got ugly, and it didn't help the team.
Yes,
it didn't help the team. In an age of budget caps, doesn't help the team either. We've got to remember that each crash means less catering.
Yeah.
So we've got to
less roast beef and
hey, don't hate on the catering. Yuki says that his favorite part of being on the F1 circuit or going around F1 is the food at the Red Bull.
Yeah, it might just be the Red Bull paddocks.
Maybe. But so I want Red Bull to manage this a bit differently. We know that Red Bull is very much a team that puts all its eggs in the Max basket.
Yeah.
But I would prefer that whenever the opportunity arises, because it's not always going to. Max is step above Checo. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. But whenever the opportunity arises, they've got to have fair racing. They've got to allow them to fight in a fair manner. Can Max fight fair with his own teammates? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Will he throw a fit? Maybe. But I think that Checo needs that opportunity to know when the opportunity arises, Red Bull will back me to use my skill to overtake this guy. And I don't think that they do at this moment. I feel like as much as they might talk that Checo has just as much opportunities and stuff as Max, we know that when they are pushed against the wall, that might not be the case. But let's wait and see. I guess that's the best that we can do.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's early days to tell whether the beef is bad or not.
Whether it's beef or if
you have but you have like a kind of goodish idea going in from Interlagos, and
things are rocky there. It's not great.
Yeah, it's built up.
And I don't know. I know that people are going to hate me for bringing this up. I didn't particularly like Yoss's reaction after the race. He did smile and shake his hand or whatever after that image. Everyone knows which image I'm talking about. We don't even have to show it on the screen. But apparently, after in the real clip, a little bit after that, he does smile and shake Checo's hand, which fair enough, kudos. But we do know that Jos is Jos. I feel like also judging Max by Jos is also not fair. Not saying that Max is perfect.
I do agree.
Max sometimes does do and say things which are not great. Like, come on, dude. But at the same time, let's rather judge Max on Max and not judge Max on Jos. In the same way that we should all judge Mick on Mick and not Mick on Michael.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother.
And that's that might get me hate in the comments.
Amen, brother.
That might get me hate in the comment section, but it's true. Each person is their own person, and I think that we can even apply this to our own personal lives. So why must we treat
too philosophical?
Why must we treat Formula One drivers any differently? I mean,
Aristotle in the podcast right now. Aristotle in the podcast.
Where?
In
crazy. Spirit.
Crazy. But yeah, I assume there is nothing much to talk about. Let's check the list.
No, I don't think that there's too much else to talk about unless something's on the list.
Let's just maybe wrap this up with this final topic.
Okay.
Wait, didn't we talk about the Alonso podium already? Yeah, we talked about the podium.
We spoke about Alonso's podium briefly. I think he did really well.
Okay. How about this for a conversation piece?
Sure.
Kyle Lamy being was possible in being in the 2023 calendar according to www.cars.co.za. I think it was .co.za.
I think it was cars.co.za.
It was cars.co.za.
They ran an article which was quoting, was it Jody
Scheckter, yes, the world champion, the only world champion of South African in what is it? No, it's not inheritance. Descent. There we go. He's the only South African who's gotten a world championship in Formula One, and he says, and I vaguely quote, I'm not quoting word for word, but he did say that they were literally right here in the heart of South Africa, in the Kyle Lamy headquarters or something, I assume. So he said there was all those rumors about Stefano Domenicali. I hope I pronounced that.
No, you didn't. Stefano Domenicali.
Yeah, that guy. Apparently, him and his cronies were here, and they, So the speculation was that they were checking the facilities.
His cronies.
His cronies. But yeah, so Jody Scheckter claims that they literally had the deal done to rights. So they literally just had to sign it, and it would have been there for 2023 or 2024. And apparently, at the last second, he quotes, and I'm quoting.
And this is alleged, just to cover us. This is alleged. This is according to that article.
From my neutral standpoint, I have to enforce that this is alleged. That the Kyle Lamy guy, in his words, the Kyle Lamy guy, decided to bump up the offer from 500,000 Rand, I'm assuming, to 2 million Rand. And when F1 heard that, they were just like, okay, yeah, let's bolt. And then they went. So, so Jody Scheckter was quite pissed off at that. And yeah, so it's quite infuriating as a South African that we were like this close. This close to coming for F1 to come to South Africa. And then the worst part is that, sorry to keep cutting you off, but the worst part is that South Africa, the Kyle Lamy, is known for just doing the stupidest things management-wise.
The Kyle Lamy guy.
The Kyle Lamy guy. The Kyle Lamy guy.
We're not stating who the Kyle Lamy guy is.
We don't know who the Kyle Lamy guy
but
is.
But allegedly the Kyle Lamy guy.
Kyle Lamy guy, who will not be named, is super villain Kyle Lamy guy. So get this, 2021, Kyle Lamy 9 hour. They decide to host it right after the Indianapolis race. It was either after or before the Indianapolis race. So there's a lot of legislation going behind that. A lot of GT3 teams figure it's not worth it unless it was just Calvin van der Linde's team and a few other blokes. It was a tiny grid. I know because I was there. It was a tiny grid. And then the second case I'm going to bring up is that in 2022, one after another, they then decide to have it after the Bathurst 12-hour race. So again, logistics. But then the worst part is they have it on the exact same day as the Formula E the Cape Town Formula E Prix.
And for those of you who aren't South African or who do not know South Africa's geography, these are two cities that are about 1,400 kilometers distance between the two of them.
Exactly.
If you want to catch a flight, okay, sure, that's a 2-hour flight, give or take.
Probably, yeah.
It's about a 2-hour flight. Yeah. But the thing is, it's still, why are you organizing things either right after the other or on the same day? Especially when we know how big Formula E is. And
exactly, who you competing with, bro?
And the Formula E event was a remarkable success from what I heard.
Yeah,
everyone was so keen.
Was great. The stands were packed.
We had local icons there, such as our South African World Cup winning rugby captain Sia Khaleesi was there. We had a bunch of high-profile South Africans also
Naomi
visiting.
From F1, literally the presenter who does a lot of the Sky Sports stuff. Naomi, she was there,
and amongst a lot of other people, like high-profile people from all over the world.
And what did 9 Hour have?
Hey, you watched it. What did they have? Tell me.
The same Oaks from last time. Ernest Page, which was the commentator.
Shout out to Ernest.
Ernest is great. I love Ernest. I'm not tuning anything with Ernest. I don't have beef with Ernest, but that's like the only person I cared about in the entire 9 hour broadcast. That was the only person I cared about. Everyone else was just like no names. And then the second point is that you should check the stands. The stands in the 9 hour were empty. Empty. It was like a ghost town there.
How's that compared to the previous years? Because the thing is, like, as someone who doesn't follow the
That
WEC,
seems to be kind of old. It's not the WEC.
Sorry, the
uncultured. I think.
I
it's
apologize.
The GT World. GT
okay,
World
but this series in this race,
my
brother follows it fairly closely.
Yeah.
So. Is it fairly packed usually, or there's lots of people on race day?
Yeah, well, at least even grid-wise, it's quite packed. Mm-hmm. But I think it was after the whole COVID spiel thing, it kind of dipped off a little bit. And also the fact that you're forcing people to choose between Kyalami 9 hour.
I know what I would choose.
E-Prix. I would choose E-Prix.
100%.
If I had the chance to go to E-Prix, like what type of logic is this? You 100%. Get to see people like Felix da Costa.
Freaking Calvin van der Linde. We had a South African.
He couldn't make the race. But like in general, like...
Well... But the thing is, like, we always going to want to... Wait, did Calvin get knocked out or wasn't able to?
So what happened was the Mahindra powertrain, or the rear axle of the Mahindra powered cars, it was a health and safety issue.
But we wouldn't have known that beforehand anyway. I'm sure there were South Africans who went there knowing that there was a South African on the grid. We know from many motorsports when there's a driver... Even if especially if it's just one or two drivers from your country on the grid, that's going to pull in the masses.
Okay, to be fair, also, like, what is it? Sheldon van der Linde was in the 9 hour. Granted, he dominated the 9 hour, even though I think that the BOP was bullshit. Anyways,
but let's think about it this way also. Are you going to? And this isn't. Let's look at the regular person's mind. We're not talking here about your typical motorsport fanatic. We're here talking about the normal person.
Right.
Will the normal person be more likely to go to an open wheel car race? Or to a GT3 style race.
Yeah.
I feel, and this is my maybe uncultured opinion, and I apologize if it's different to yours, but I'm allowed to have my opinion. My opinion is that the casual fan is going to be more likely to want to go and watch these open wheel cars as opposed to the GT3s.
I'll bring a different
if they're both in the same
I'll bring a different perspective because South Africans love their GT cars. Mm-hmm. They really do love their GT3 cars. I mean, in the sim racing scene, the only thing that people do is drive GT3 cars.
Sure.
But there's a whole lot of buzz around Formula E just because of the location, just because of the atmosphere, just because it's literally in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Compared to Kyalami. And it's a street circuit. Don't forget that. Street circuits tend to get packed. I mean, even if it's Monaco, it's like a shit race, but like people still watch it because it's in like the heart of where people stay.
And keep in mind also, like, one of the things about Kyalami is it's also more of, let's say, a purist track. Let's say your hardcore motorsport fanatics are the guys who know more about Kyalami, who will go more to a Kyalami, whereas Cape Town seems to have a pull for more people. But then here is my let's say rebuttal to that, or my argument to that. If Kyalami were to bring a high profile motorsport such as Formula One to the track, like, would there not be good for the track just in general?
Literally, exactly.
I mean, sure, they would have to do a bunch of fixing up on the track, get proper stands and all that sort of stuff.
Porsche owns the track. He has the money to do so.
But at the same time, that is an upgrade that would be amazing just for the track.
Easily.
That might even attract other series to want to come and race.
WEC, who wanted to come here initially.
There we go. So I think that it was a little bit of a blunder and maybe...
The clown circus.
This is all allegedly.
Allegedly.
So if all of this information is true...
Granting all of the evidence that I had given...
Sure.
It is very likely.
And the thing is, I just feel like if all of these things are true, greed really had a part to play in us not having a South African GP this year. I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully that isn't the case soon, because South Africa is chock-a-block full of motorsport fans.
Yes.
People who would, if the price is right, go to a race. I know that it's probably not going to be cheap. Obviously. But at the same time, the people who are organizing did assure us that
or at least Jody Schechter's side,
that the prices would be as accessible as they can for the average motorsport fan. We know that Formula One tickets in general aren't cheap, but if they can make it cheap for the average fan, I think that would be amazing. And that would be amazing for the Kyalami circuit itself too. All of the food and whatever that would be sold there, also bringing up money coming in with people staying at the hotels and whatever. Like, it would just be a great thing for the South African economy. So right now, as ever, it's not time to play the greed card, so to speak. It's the time to just be like, Oaks want to come here. Why am I being a stumbling stone to the Oaks who want to be here and bring this traveling circus that is Formula One once again to the African continent?
Yes, sir.
Like, people can say, oh, but it's so far logistically. Why was Formula E here then?
Yeah, why was Formula E here? Why do we go from Middle East to Australia?
And logistically, F1 is planned in a very strange way.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't know logistics, so maybe that is the most efficient way to do things in definitely not fuel, but maybe with how they carry their crates, it's the best. I don't know. But the thing is, like, in terms of fuel, we're already going all over. First we're in Europe, then we're in Australia, then we're in the States, then we're back in Europe, then we go back to Southern America. I know I'm not being accurate with exactly where we're going, but we bounce around so much.
Ridiculousness of it.
We bounce around so much instead of staying in certain regions. I don't know. I mean, you're having 3 races in the States, and I'm not necessarily against that. It is a big country, but like, why don't you have them like 2-3 weekends apart for each race, right? And then have Africa too. We've got motorsports fans here also. We're not here like we're not probably what many non-South African. Pardon me. We're not what many non-South Africans think we are. We are a motorsport loving
it's
nation.
Not going to be a rallycross like circuit or where we see lines occasionally. And
that would be cool though, because we've seen some interesting stuff. We've seen like lizards and stuff in Singapore, so that was quite cool. Not gonna lie.
But so it's not unsuccessful for our first outing.
I think so, and hopefully this isn't too long. Hopefully we didn't babble too much for you guys.
This is an hour and like so minutes. I did not realize we were talking for this long. We probably should have had like a more structured approach to this, but I still think we did pretty well. I just have a lot to edit.
And the truth is, we'll just see in the future how things go. Again, any comments or tips or any of that, share. Please do, because this is both of our first outing in the sort of, as my brother would say, in making ebooks, right?
Ebooks.
Definitely
yes.
ebooks.
Yes.
And hey, tell us your thoughts, your opinions and comments are very much appreciated. Please do be respectful though in the comment section. There's no need for us to turn to another form of F1
If you're
Twitter.
a Max fan, tell the Lewis fan that he's full of shit, and if you're Lewis fan, tell the Max fan to cry.
Don't listen to him, guys.
Fake world championship.
Don't listen to him, guys. Let's
go crazy in the comment section. I want to see harassment to the max.
Let's be respectful of one another's opinions, guys. we're all out here just to enjoy Formula One, really. We like different teams, we enjoy different aspects of the sport, but at the end of the day, we like seeing open wheel cars go vroom very fast around the circuits. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I guess we can.
Cool.
Yeah, so yeah, guys, thank you very much if you have made it this far for listening, or if you haven't made it this far, thank you in general, even though you won't hear this. But yeah, I have a lot of editing to do right now. We're gonna see how we can upload these this style of like podcasts and stuff. So they'll be available on YouTube, maybe on other platforms. We'll see as the times go. But yeah, this has been our first podcast episode or ebook episode or show. And yeah, we'll stick with one that rolls off the tongue better. But yeah,
fair enough. We'll see you guys after the Australian GP,
which is like in a month or so. Yeah,
is it that far away? No, it's not.
I don't know, bro.
No, it's not this weekend. It's the next.
No
it's I think the 2nd of April.
Wait, let me Google. Yeah, Thursday, March 30th. What? Oh, it's next week.
It is. So it's actually on
I
the
lied.
races on the 2nd.
I lied. Okay, yeah.
In
so
Australia.
We'll see you in the week after the GP. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.